often wonder if there was a precise moment when everything went wrong. A single second where fate turned its head and I was left behind in a life I didn't recognize. If I trace the thread back, it always begins at that train station. That old, crumbling station with its rusted beams, cracked bricks, and the smell of damp stone that clung to the air. It should have been the happiest day. Our anniversary trip. A train ride through the mountains, something I had begged Daniel to do for years. He hated trains, said they were too slow, too outdated, but I loved them. To me, trains were magic. A connection between past and present, a chance to sit still and watch the world glide by. I thought this trip would be a gift for both of us. A chance to reconnect, to breathe, to escape the constant noise of our daily lives. But instead, I can only remember the way his voice cut through the crowd that morning. Stay behind. You don't deserve this trip. He said it so firmly, so coldly, that it didn't feel like my husband speaking at all. At first, I tried to smile, to laugh it off. Maybe he was annoyed at me for running late. Maybe he was trying to tease me in some cruel, ill-timed way. But when I looked into his face, there was nothing playful there. His eyes were distant, his jaw clenched. He meant it, and the worst part was that everyone heard him. The platform went quiet. Strangers turned, their conversations cut short, their eyes heavy on me. Some looked at me with pity, others with judgment, as though they'd just witnessed some terrible truth about me. My cheeks burned hot, and I wanted to shout that this wasn't normal, that I wasn't the kind of wife who didn't deserve to be with her husband. But the words stuck in my throat, and then the train arrived. It came with a deep rumble, the ground trembling beneath my feet. Fog rolled across the tracks, wrapping itself around the platform. The headlights pierced through the mist, and the shriek of the brakes echoed like a scream. When the train stopped in front of us, I felt my stomach drop. It was beautiful, but wrong. So very wrong. The carriages were made of polished wood, their sides gleaming as if freshly waxed. Brass handles caught the pale light, and thick velvet curtains were pulled tightly across the windows. The style was elegant, but it was the kind of elegance that belonged in a black and white photograph, not in the present day. It was too old, too out of place. The doors opened with a hiss. Passengers began to board, but they didn't speak. They didn't greet each other. They didn't even look at one another. They moved silently, their faces blank, their steps deliberate. It felt less like people traveling and more like shadows returning to where they belonged. I clutched Daniel's arm, ready to step with him. But that's when his hand shot out and gripped my wrist so tightly it hurt. His voice dropped to a whisper, sharp and cutting. Stay behind. You don't deserve this trip. I pulled against his grip, my chest tightening. Daniel, what are you talking about? Stop it. I'm coming. He shook his head, his eyes flickering with something I had never seen before, something like fear. No, you don't understand. You can't come. My mind spun. What did that mean? Was he protecting me? Punishing me? Hiding something from me? Before I could say another word, he stepped onto the train. The doors shut behind him, and the train began to move. I screamed his name, my palm slamming against the glass, but he never looked back. He didn't wave, didn't call out, didn't even flinch. He just vanished into the fog, swallowed whole. The silence that followed was unbearable. And then I realized everyone was still watching me. Every single person left on that platform was staring. One man, his face gray and hollow, muttered, "She's the lucky one." A woman shook her head, whispering, "Not chosen." Their voices made no sense to me, but their expressions did. They looked at me as though I had escaped something, as though by staying behind I had been spared from a fate they all understood. And then, just like that, they turned away. Their footsteps echoed against the tiles, fading into the mist until I was completely, utterly alone. I tried to leave the station. I truly did. But no matter which hallway I took, I ended up in the same place, the waiting room. It was as though the station itself was folding in on me, trapping me inside its walls. The clocks hung crookedly on the walls, their hands ticking out of rhythm. One spun to fast, another to slow, none matching the time on my phone. My phone, by the way, had no signal. No bars, no Wi-Fi, no connection to the outside world. I sat down on one of the benches, my body trembling. And that's when I noticed the scratches in the wood beneath me. Words, etched by desperate hands, don't board. They never come back. The letters were uneven, carved deep. As if the writer had pressed the blade down with all their strength. My chest tightened. My mind raced. Was this some kind of prank? A haunted house setup? A twisted experiment? But then I heard it, the faintest sound of breathing. Not mine, not from me. From behind me, I turned quickly, but no one was there. The waiting room was empty. Empty, but not silent. The air felt heavy, thick, as if it were alive. I whispered Daniel's name into the emptiness, hoping somehow he would hear me. My voice sounded small, swallowed by the walls. Time passed strangely. Minutes stretched into hours, or maybe it was only seconds. I thought about Daniel, about our marriage, about how we had drifted apart in little ways. I thought about the nights when he sat in silence at dinner, the way he sometimes looked at me as if I were a stranger. I thought about the arguments we never finished, the apologies we never gave. I thought about how I had begged for this trip and how he had agreed reluctantly. Maybe he had already decided to leave me. Maybe this was his way of saying goodbye. But no goodbye could explain what happened next. The ground trembled. Again, the whistle pierced the fog. The train was back, but it was not the same train that had left. Its sides were scorched black. Its brass handles twisted and burned. The velvet curtains hung in tatters, stained with something dark. The windows were cracked, jagged like broken teeth. The doors opened and passengers stepped out. They were not whole anymore. Their faces were pale, their skin stretched thin, their eyes dull and empty. They moved like broken marionettes, their limbs jerking unnaturally. And then I saw him. Daniel. Daniel! I cried, stumbling toward him. Relief surged through me, tangled with horror. He turned his head slowly, unnaturally slowly, until his lifeless eyes met mine. When he spoke, the voice was not his. It was hollow, distant, like an echo from a cavern. You should have come with us. Tears filled my eyes. No, you told me to stay behind. You told me I didn't deserve this trip. His lips curled into something that might have been a smile if it hadn't looked so broken. I wanted to spare you, he said. You didn't deserve to suffer. But now it's too late. The other passengers gathered behind him, whispering. Their voices blended into one, rising and falling in rhythm. Board, board, board. The doors of the train opened wider, and a thick darkness seeped out like smoke, curling around my feet. In that moment, I had to choose. Step inside, follow my husband into the unknown, and share whatever fate had consumed him, or run, and never know the truth. My heart broke as I looked into his empty eyes. The man I loved was gone. Whatever had returned from that train was not Daniel. Not anymore. So I ran. I don't know how I made it out. 1 second I was surrounded by shadows and whispers, and the next I was outside, standing in the cold night air. The fog was gone. The station was gone, and yet I am not free. Not really. Sometimes I wake in the middle of the night to the faint sound of a whistle in the distance, a sound that no one else hears. Sometimes I feel the vibration of rails beneath my feet, even when there are none, and sometimes, when I close my eyes, I see Daniel. His hollow stare, his lips moving in the dark, and every time, his voice whispers to me again, stay behind. You don't deserve this trip.